G'day all, welcome back to the G-Man Show. Today we're looking at electricity prices, why they're rising, and what are people being encouraged to do to combat electricity prices. All right, let's jump straight in. I have two separate stories, but they are very much related. They're in the video description if you want to watch them without my ranting, raving, etc.
It's the middle of winter, and for a lot of us that means more lights and more heating. But getting through winter comes at a price, and from July 1st, many of us will find that cost is going up.
A lot of people it's going up, and good old government, they promised, there was an election promise spruiking that they're going to help out with electricity prices. Some of them are going up as much as 30-odd%. Now, people have said I'm a Labor bashing channel. No, I'm just going to bash the current government and the government who's made promises and hasn't been able to keep them. In for less than a month or two, again, and everything is going to absolute crap. Economy's crap. Everything's going up through the roof. There is no end in sight for a lot of people. So either people are choosing, this is what a lot of people are doing in winter, they're sitting around with no heating on because it's just far too expensive. Even the middle class. Yeah, sure, this was a thing for the working class or the working poor to try and scrounge and save, wear jumpers, don't turn the heater on, all that sort of thing. A lot of people are now not doing it. What world are we living in?
How much your power bill will increase depends on where you live and what sort of deal you're on. From Queensland to Tasmania to Western Australia, there'll be a bump to many average annual household bills. Some homes in New South Wales, South East Queensland and South Australia are covered by a default market offer, the price-capped deal given to customers who don't or can't shop around for their own electricity plan. The price is determined by the Australian Energy Regulator each year.
It's meant to be a reference price, point of comparison for other retail offers, and meant to be a safeguard for customers who don't engage in the market.
Yeah, okay. And what's happened here? So we have regulated capped electricity prices. Okay. Everything else has been sold off to international operators. Nothing here is Australian owned. A lot of Asian-based companies are running these. They're the parent company for all your distributors. City Power and Gemini and all those sort of companies, they're owned by Asian investors. So let's just think about that. We have no control over the cost of our own utilities. Sold off to the highest bidder. Now it's coming back to bite. And they don't care. They'll raise the price. They don't give a stuff about what's going on over here.
But some of those customers will be facing much bigger bills. In New South Wales, they'll see increases of between $155 and $280.
I don't think it's working effectively as a safeguard. It's trying to do many different things at once.
The Australian Energy Council, which represents retailers, says while it's designed to be an easy option, the default offer isn't always best.
But that's important to note that not everyone is on that offer and that there are cheaper market deals available for consumers.
That's a good point. However, try and read your electricity bill. It's very complicated. I don't even understand really what I'm reading. I need to be a bit more clearer on what things are costing and how things are increasing, etc. The average layperson is going to read all that data on a bill and have no idea what it even means.
Retailers can also offer market deals far above the so-called benchmark price. Luke Nottage pays about $1,500 a year on power for his 3-person household. He found he was overpaying for his power after being with the same retailer for 20 years and made a complaint to the ACCC through consumer group Choice.
That's it,
They make it very difficult to understand in the first place. Either consumers don't realise what's going on, or they have too much inertia to do anything. My work involves consumer law. I'm probably better informed than most when I see a consumer problem in my everyday life.
That's it, the loyalty tax. People just put their head in the sand. They don't look around. Same goes for mortgages. Same goes for just about every other expense. The longer you stick with the company, you're probably going to be paying overs what new customers will pay. So it does pay to shop around, that's for sure.
Even if you're holding back on heating and cooling, there's more to your bill than just charges for energy use. Energy retailers buy electricity from generators in the wholesale market, and that price affects what retailers charge consumers. Network costs make up a large part of your bill, basically the costs of maintaining and operating poles and wires. Your bill can also include costs like your retailer sending out bills and managing accounts. And there are also what's known as green costs for government programs to save energy and develop renewable energy.
So depending...
There you go. So you're paying more to help fund the green infrastructure. Awesome. The green infrastructure that a lot of people aren't asking for.
On what state you live in and the mix of generation sources available, and also the network charges that are passed through from retailers, that will determine whether your bill goes up or down. Certainly in some areas of Australia, wholesale prices have increased. I think the other element is also the increased costs of network charges, which have been flowing through to bills this coming year.
Australia is moving to green energy, which is cheaper to generate.
But having said that, there's a cost...
Is it cheaper to generate? I can tell you now, these projects cost billions and billions and billions of dollars to even get up and operational with lots of lead time. Years and years. Maybe when they're running, they're cheaper, but the investment, well, guess who's going to be paying for that through your power prices? You. They're going to claw everything back from the consumer for stuff most of the time people aren't asking for. This whole net carbon zero thing by 2050 or whatever it is. We need to worry about affordable power now.
Cost associated with replacing old aging generation with new generation. When you take those replacement costs into account, and you also take into account new poles and wires that need to be built in order to accommodate new generation, there are going to be additional costs that might offset the cheaper source of renewable energy.
Professor Bruce Mountain is the director of the Victoria Energy Policy Centre. He says when state and federal governments were setting ambitious renewables targets years ago, they underestimated how slow, costly and difficult to negotiate the transition would be.
Yeah, and that is say stuff. Never believe what they say. Guys, think about all the promises you were made about a couple of months ago. And so many people have voted for, and they're already starting to renege on those or fail on those, and to have those highlighted as being not achievable. Once again, I'm not here just to labour bash. I'll bash anyone. I just call out rubbish. Oh yeah, we're going to fight the cost of living. Cost of living is continuing to spike. The economy is cooked, and you're raising more taxes, and you're building all this infrastructure using those taxes that we didn't ask for.
We're seeing much the same in many other countries of the world. The easy implementation of wind and solar when it was growing quickly, when it was a small part of the energy mix, is now far more problematic when it's a much larger part of the energy mix.
Earlier this month, Energy Minister Chris Bowen announced changes to retail market rules aimed at making power bills fairer and a review of the default market offer, or DMO.
The vast majority of bill payers, some 80%, could be better off, could get a better deal than what they're getting. So it's difficult to defend the DMO when the customer is required to do the deal hunting.
Bruce Mountain says the federal government's focus on changing retail rules won't solve big picture problems.
This is an issue for government to resolve, not to impose on the electricity industry to try and address social issues through tinkering, through price controls.
So all those, look, this is my view, this is my opinion, all this investment that's being made using your tax money, your billions and billions and billions of dollars that they're raising, that they're bending you over and taking, is being put into these renewable energy investments and assets and distributions for environmental reasons. I'm going to put that in quotes. Environmental reasons. This is going to result in higher power prices. It's all a political move. It's all a virtue signalling move. People need to survive here. People need to have affordable access to electricity.
In the meantime, energy companies have this advice.
I don't think anyone likes to see their power bill increase. What we encourage consumers to do is to shop around.
They should just
shop around, guys. Just shop around. We got to keep raising the prices more over and above what's actually reasonable. But just keep shopping around, guys. You get a good deal. We want to help you out. Shop around. Get effed.
update you onto the better plan. If we come up with a better plan based on your past usage, we automatically put you on it. It's a big household expense for the family, and also it's the one that has been going up and up and up.
And how many promises have we had? Oh, we need to get that under. We're going to give you this rebate, $100 a year. Ooh, whoop-de-doo. Oh, thanks for the rebate. Yeah. Also, your taxes are going up, or we're going to find other ways to tax you through direct or indirect means. But here's $100 because, we're trying to make out like we're doing you a favour. There you go, buddy. Enjoy. By the way, your power's gone up by 1,000. Oh, absolute debacle. Only one who wins here is the big end of town, the finances, the construction companies who are building these assets and then getting the return on the investment. Not the consumer. All right, so moving on to the next story. It's very, very similar. It's more or less them spruiking solar. They're more or less admitting defeat here. That's the way I see this article, or this advertorial for solar. More or less admitting that it's going to get more expensive for electricity. They can't beat it. So go and spend a whole bunch of money you probably don't have in your capital investment for solar. Let's go.
In the Blue Mountains above Sydney, hardy residents must cope with scorching summers, freezing winters, and the soaring power bills that follow. Well, most residents. Nestled among the gum trees, its solar panels soaking up the winter sunshine, is the home of retired paramedic Les Majoros. A couple of winters ago, Les paid nearly $1,500 for quarterly electricity and gas bills. His most recent monthly bill, $55.82.
So that's not including charging your car, is it? Well, yeah, charging the car is part of it.
Right.
Yes.
Saving that much money isn't cheap. Les upgraded his solar panels.
That was about $11,000. The battery, $10,000. The EV, $40,000. I know it sounds like a lot, but the return on investment is great. And also we got rid of the gas. The heat pump was $3,500, and getting rid of the gas heating and installing, that was $11,500.
So a bit of quick maths there. You spent about 80 grand capital outlay. A return on investment isn't so much the reduced bills, it's how long it takes the difference between the older bills you're paying and your current costs to recoup your whole investment. I think it's going to be a lot longer than what they think. Saving a few thousand a year on electricity, it's going to be quite a bit to recoup that 80 grand. He'll be dead before it happens.
Reverse cycle.
Then there's the ongoing maintenance costs of, the solar panels and the batteries and all of that. So it isn't like a one-off cost. All this stuff requires maintenance, improvement, etc.
Air conditioning.
Gas hot water with heat pump hot water.
So how do heat pumps actually work? I have no idea.
Okay, so heat pumps basically is like an air conditioner or even a fridge, where it takes cold or hot air from one side and then puts it somewhere else on the other side.
Analysis from an international think tank, the Institute for Energy Economics and Financial Analysis, says the best way to cut household power bills isn't to offer one-off cashbacks or build more power plants. It's to be a bit more like Les.
We found that a combination of sensible household energy upgrades, things like thermal efficiency upgrades, efficient electric appliances, rooftop solar and batteries could actually reduce the energy bills for a typical household by 80 to 90%.
But you don't need to spend $70,000. Les's biggest expenses are connected to his electric car.
If you were really going all the way and doing all of the upgrades like getting a battery, getting solar, getting efficient electric appliances, you can easily be looking at over 10,000, 20,000 for those sorts of upgrades.
Way more than that, dude. You take away the car, all right, that Les went all in here. He's bought right in to solar. You're probably looking at 30, 40 grand. And then you got to think about, as I was saying, the lifespan and the maintenance requirements for those pieces of equipment. How many people have either the capacity? So you're going to have people struggling with electricity. So there's a few things to consider with solar and all that sort of thing. How big's your property? If you don't have ample roof space, you're not going to be able to get solar put in. That's it. No go. So if you live in an apartment or a little townhouse and you can't get the panels on the roof, you have an oddly shaped roof, whatever it may be, you're not getting them on. So forget about that. Then there's access to capital. How many people have, I don't know, say you went in all in like Les, 60, 80 grand, whatever, with the car and all that to try and save on petrol as well. How many people have 80 grand lying around just to dump out like that? Most people are going to have to go into debt to fund this stuff. So who's going to have the capacity, A, to even get the money, especially if you've got mortgages and other debts going on, or the willingness to get into debt in the first place? So I think people just take the option of not using as least amount of electricity as possible, sitting in the cold, probably sitting in the dark.
Grades.
The Institute found that a spend like this would cause a typical annual electricity bill to drop several $1,000s.
Okay, so hang on. So say you're saving on average $2,000 to $3,000 a month. All right, let's just say it's $2.5 grand on average here. So you spend 80 grand. So let's do some quick maths. You're looking at about, I don't have a calculator, 25 or 30 years to get it back. That doesn't include all the maintenance and stuff you're going to have to do. So I don't know. I think Les will be well and truly dead by then. Sure, okay, let's put the petrol savings because he's going to save a lot on petrol. Let's maybe put that as $5 grand a year. So that, I could probably see the EV being a good investment for the petrol. I don't know about the home electricity. I've thought about it in the past. I've done the numbers. It didn't really stack up for me. I don't know if it's come further since then. It wasn't really that long ago. Let me know your thoughts if you're going solar. I'm trying not to bash it. I'm just having a look at it from a critical lens. So tell me, do you have solar? Do you have a battery? Is it saving you a lot of money? Is it a good return on investment? It'd be good to see in the comments.
That decision can often pay back in less than 6 years. If you're in a state that has particularly supportive rebate programs, like Victoria, for example, that payback might be much faster.
Around 4 million Australian homes have solar panels, which cuts bills when the sun is shining. But just 1 in 40 homes have installed batteries to store power to use at night. This month, the federal government launched a rebate scheme to encourage homeowners to install batteries.
This is the battery we got installed in March this year. Actually completes our energy picture in a lot of ways.
Disconnecting from gas and installing batteries, solar and heat pumps isn't an option for about 1/3 of Australians. Renters like Andrea Leong.
We get about with lots of layers of clothing on. We don't like to put the heating on for both cost and environmental reasons, so it's only when it gets bitterly cold that we would put the heating on.
It's not exactly Arctic, but cold enough to feel the chill when you're working from home.
It's just dropped below 18 degrees this morning on the coldest day in winter so far.
Andrea's apartment is poorly insulated with a tin roof and big windows.
As a renter, I'm not sure that we could do anything to make the place warmer. We'd love to put double glazing in because it's hot in summer, cold in winter. The heat just comes in on a hot summer day and just goes straight out when it's cold.
Yeah, it's a really big challenge, and I think
so probably be more regulations and stuff that they'll push on to landlords to get their houses 100% more energy efficient for renters. But guess what? The renters are going to have to pay for that because the rents will go up. So, I think you're in an average position either way. You're going to be paying for it one way or another. Sit there with a blanket on if it sucks, I guess.
Often, in the policy discussion, you tend to find that renters are often ignored, or there is a footnote where you say, oh, you can ask your landlord about installing a heat pump or solar panels, but as you know, or as anyone with recent rental experience knows, that's just not how things work.
Oh yeah, let's be realistic here. Oh yeah, I want to save money on my bills. Can you go and outlay $30,000 capital investment on your investment property because I want to save some money? I expect that.
Jay Gordon says landlords will introduce more efficient appliances if they're forced to.
Victoria, for example, has just announced updates to its rental standard programs that would require gas appliances, or at least your heaters and hot water systems, to be replaced with efficient electric alternatives at end of life.
Efficient electrical. How much is electricity bills going through the roof? Come on, a bit of an agenda at play here.
It's one step at a time, even for the author of a home efficiency report.
So what we have here is our gas water heater. What we're looking at the moment is in the next...
Sorry about that, my cord came out, I flung it out and I was waving my arms around. Yeah, let's just push this whole electric stuff because, electricity is so affordable. Absolute scandal, in my opinion. Yeah, let's just push it onto the landlords as well. Be careful what you ask for. You think you're not going to pay for it. The government needs to stay out of this, but they won't. They'll force people to have all this electricity because they're spending all this money on renewables and all that. They want all houses fueled and run 100% by electricity to justify their decision for what they're doing in the future. That's what it is. We're forcing you to use electricity. It's not even an option. Grinds my gears, guys. Grinds my gears. That's why the cord was flung out. Let everyone make their own decisions. Overregulation. Once again, it increases the cost of living for everyone.
couple of days we'll be replacing this with a modern heat pump hot water system. A heat pump hot water system can use somewhere between a quarter to a third of the energy of one of these older gas hot water systems.
Jay Gordon is just beginning his journey to energy efficiency. Back in the Blue Mountains, Les Majoros has come out the far side.
It's energy efficiency. No. It's being forced to use electricity at inflated prices to support government's pro-electricity agenda, i.e. green and renewables, which are going to cost you even more than coal-powered electricity. Don't fall for the spin.
Sometimes eye rolls when I sort of start talking about electricity, batteries and EVs and all that, because I did go deep into those rabbit holes investigating, is it worth it, is it not worth it? Really deep. And seriously, yes, it's definitely worth it.
There you go. Thanks, Les. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Once again, give me your thoughts on electricity. As you can see, I'm not fully opposed to this sort of thing, but I think you need to have money. They make it out like it's easy. You can have access to doing it. I don't like that there are regulations and legislation coming in. They're going to force people to do things they might not otherwise choose to do based on their own preferences. All right. Thank you. Thanks for listening to me rant. See you in the next one.